My grandma and your grandma sitting by the fire. My grandma said to your grandma, gonna set your flag on fire. Talk, hey now, hey now, hey now. I go, I go. Anyway, made no sense whatsoever. So I just got done doing a video. You may have seen it. It will have been released yesterday. And it was about comedy movies, mostly from like the 50s. And as soon as I was putting my phone back over on the other side of the desk, I thought about TV comedy in the early days. And, you know, I thought of some of the famous ones. They always talked about, well, there were the sitcoms, such as Make Room for Daddy, Ozzie and Harriet. I'm trying to think of some of the others. And they're just, if you'd watch any of those now, they're pretty lame. Some of the ones that I think you can still get a kick out of, although I haven't watched in a long time, was like I Love Lucy, but maybe I'd watch that now and think it was just dumb. Always loved The Honeymooners. It's funny, some of these shows, I can remember watching them as a kid, and later on in life, I would think about a show like that, and I'd be trying to remember like what was the name of one of the actors or something like that, and I'd look it up on IMDb and realize they were originally on TV like before I was born. So obviously when I watched them, it was syndication. But anyway, that's beside the point. But the ones I wanted to mention now are guys that they gave credit for kind of inventing television, or how do you want to put, inventing the audience or whatever, getting television started. And there was like Sid Caesar, and Milton Berle. They were like biggies, and they were like huge, just unimaginably big. Probably bigger than like Carson, even when he was at his height. But if you watch any of that stuff now, it just isn't funny. I mean, I don't know. The jokes just do not age well. Milton Berle, I don't know. He just, yeah. Mostly, I think he was dumb. No, again, something I haven't watched for a while, but I think possibly he might still be funny, was Jack Benny. Although people would be probably offended now by his relationship with Rochester, who I guess was supposed to be his butler or something. But he was a black guy, and he spoke in that same way as like if you watch any old movies where the black people were always like, well, yes, Mr. Benny, that kind of thing. And, this is veering off topic a little bit, which, is rare for me. But I remember seeing an old interview. I'm almost sure it was with Joe Green, the Mean Joe Green of Pittsburgh Steelers fame. But he was on a talk show, and they were talking about like the old movies from like the 30s and that, and the way black people were portrayed. And I remember him saying that, like his parents, they hated. There was like I call them a comedy team or whatever called Step and Fetch It. It was two black guys, and there was a lot of other black actors at the time who, you know, would talk like that. Yassa, yassa, I'll take care of that. Yassa, sir. Um, I remember there was one. He used to be in a lot of those, like they'd be like in horror movies or something, and of course he was always, scared of the ghost and stuff, and he'd go, "Feet, do your stuff," or something like that, and run away. But like I said, I remember Joe saying like his parents and people of that generation were really offended by that naturally. But he said all the guys of his generation, they loved those guys because they felt like they were getting over on the man. You know, they didn't see it as them selling out or whatever. They were basically taking the white guy's money, and the whole time it's like the actors doing it and the younger people watching the movies. They knew that basically those guys were laughing all the way to the bank. It was one of those things of ain't white people stupid, you know. Anyway, that really got me off of what I wanted to talk about. I think mostly it was just that these people who are revered for being the early TV geniuses, most of them, if you go back and watch any of that stuff now, you just sit there going, why did anybody think it was funny? I think Milton Berle was like always putting on a dress and thinking that was hilarious. Like I say, I think some of the actual sitcoms, I don't know. Actually, about the only one I think that maybe people would still find funny is Lucy, just because of some of her antics. Because even as I think coming forward, a lot of the shows from like the 60s and stuff, if you watch them now, I mean, one of the biggest shows of that era, of the 60s, and that was like Beverly Hillbillies. And I'm sure if I watched that now, I'd be thinking, this was just terrible. It reminds me of watching an old movie, and this had nothing to do with comedy. It was an old horror movie. I remember I was sitting watching it one night, and my father came in the living room, and he's like, what are you watching? And he's like, I forget exactly what he said, but basically he was like, how can you watch this garbage? And I was, like 16 or something, and I thought, what do you mean? This is genius. This is a great movie. How could you not like it? I remember one night I was sitting, it was like 20 years later or whatever, and I saw that movie coming on late night TV. If I remember right, I think it was called Gargoyles. It had to do with supposedly the gargoyles, they would go into hibernation for like 20 years or 47 years or whatever it would be, and they'd come out. And basically, they came out of their cave and, I don't know, was attacking people in the desert or whatever. But like I said, I came across it late one night and thought, oh, there's that movie. And I was watching it and I thought, oh my God, my father's right. This was garbage. So it's just interesting how your opinions can change when you maybe grow up a little bit, or just the fact that, yeah, especially once you've seen a couple thousand movies and you know what's going to happen next. So, you guys have anything else to talk about? I just, after doing that last video, like I said, that had to do with movie comedies, early movie comedies, I thought about the early TV guys, and how they were so admired and that, but I don't know, just just really, like I said, their comedy doesn't hold up. Not like you know, some comics you see that they're funny 30 and 40 years later. So maybe I'll do a video on comics one of these days too. Do a whole history of comedy. I don't know, but peace out.